What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest in cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon
What's up? What's up?
and LeVon Maynard.
Welcome to the show.
What is going on? Welcome to Wednesday's discussion. So if you're tuning in, definitely hit up Monday and Tuesday, where we discussed how you cannot stop all cyber attacks, but you can minimize damage. And then on Tuesday, we talked about a 157-year-old university having to shut down because of COVID mixed in with a ransomware attack, and how tragic that is. And then Friday, we'll talk about everything else. So if you tune to Friday's episode, we talk about movies, books, TV shows, all that good stuff. So everything but cyber, right? Unless you're studying for something, which I should be, but I digress. This episode would deal about just mental health. So we talk about this quite frequently, actually. There's different reports and surveys that come out. This one is from infosecurity-magazine.com. It's titled #Mental Health Awareness Week, Supporting Cyber Workers' Mental Health More Crucial Than Ever. It came out on the 14th, which is yesterday for me, probably today for you guys. And it's written by James Coker. So in it, they discuss how they, or one of the examples was a CII Sex 2020-2021 State of the Profession report that found that over half, or 51% of cybersecurity professionals are kept up at night by stress of the job and work challenges. And as we discussed pretty much every week, right? Because we're a cybersecurity podcast. This job does not stop, right? So not to scare people off from it, but and when we talked about the university, every 11 seconds there's a reported cyber attack, right? So that's ransomware, that's DDoS attacks, that's you name it, right? Or people exfiltrating data, people defacing websites, anything you could think of is being done on a daily reoccurring basis. And then you have professionals who are here to clean up the mess, minimize the damage, all that good stuff. But there's just not enough of us in the field. They talk about the ongoing cyber skills gap, which depending on where you're at within that cycle can be frustrating, right? Like if you're on the hiring side, doing for people with experience who have certifications, education, things of that nature, that pipeline is still being filled with people because there's just simply more vacancies than there are people to fill those positions. But on top of it, if you're on the opposite end of it, if you're the person trying to break into the entry-level job, you're seeing that companies want you to have 3 to 5 years of experience. They want you to have all these upper-level certs. Like there's a huge gap between what people have and what companies believe or perceive that they need. That's fueling this, right? So you see a meme all the time where it shows the CEO, like it has different resting positions in bed. You have like the CEO, the CTO, like they look like their sleep is disturbed, and then you have a vacant bed, which is the CIO or the CISO, where they because they're up, right? There's no sleep for the weary. Like they're always doing something, working something. There's always a problem, so to speak, or an issue that has to be contained, a fire that has to be put out, yada, yada, yada. Again, not trying to scare people from jumping in the profession. We need people to come in here. we need firefighters, right? Like everybody else is running out of this building. We need y'all to run in. But with that comes a lot of stress because of the gap between people getting in, people actually working, and people getting out. Because we talked about it. It may have been last week or the week before where they showed a huge amount of women are leaving cybersecurity at the age of 30. That's like the average age where they come in to the profession, they get their skills up, they meet a lot of frustration, microaggressions, and misogyny, and then they leave. They go find a different profession, and like it's not worth it. And then that's a huge brain dump where we're just losing all of this talent, we're losing all of this information. Then we talk about the challenges of getting people of color into the field, where we see these huge disparities, where cyber is only like 9% people of color. And then the people at the top, those people in those C-suite positions, only make up like 3 to 4%. So we have these big disparities, and because of that, you see these ramifications where you just see people are just not happy, and that's also blows your mind, because you see like we see that it's advertised that cyber is paying very well, right? We need people, we need this money. It's raining money over here, and if you're still not happy, that definitely shows that there is a huge disparity between what's necessary and what people are willing to take. Because if I can't even just give you money to stay in the profession, then we have a problem. But I give out to you guys. Like, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think I mean, you covered it very well. I know we talked about this a little bit before on a different show, but just like you described, it's kind of like I think cybersecurity individuals sometimes are like maybe like the unsung heroes, so to speak. They kind of they do the job, they do the stuff in the background, maybe protect a lot of stuff you don't realize. Only time you really pay attention to cybersecurity individuals when something breaks, something gets hacked, and then you're starting to point the finger at like who messed up, how come we didn't see this coming, or how come we didn't respond quick enough. But cybersecurity individuals are doing a lot of things in the background, updating, patching, and securing their different areas of responsibility. So it's like it's only when something, like I said, only when something goes wrong do you really take note. And I think I was thinking about it as you were talking as well, Ryan, that maybe you can kind of compare it to maybe like a superhero that like saves the day, but then you have people in the background that are like that get hurt in a situation where the superhero should have been there, and then they kind of like, where was the superhero when I needed them? And it's kind of like that situation with the cybersecurity where like you start blaming the cybersecurity individuals when stuff starts getting hacked, even though they're doing all this other stuff in the background that's like protecting all these other people, all these other devices that you don't really hear about. But yeah, it's just something that I don't know. It's a stressful position. I'm not a dedicated cyber individual, but I can relate, or I can understand how that would feel, being in that position and having a lot of weight on your shoulders, and especially if like maybe you don't have like the workforce behind you to support you. You don't have a lot of teammates that are maybe qualified, or not, maybe don't just have a bunch of empty roles in your job that are unfilled, and you're kind of working overtime to try to manage what you're dealt with, or what you have in front of you. So it can be a stressful job, I can imagine. And I think it takes a special individual that's really like kind of gung ho about that. It really wants to. It's almost like, I don't know. Maybe you might compare it to like a mindset of somebody that's like even like a security guard, or like a police officer or something like that. That you really like. You're proud to like defend. Defend against evil doers, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know, but it takes a special person to kind of fill that role. But I'll turn it over to you, Shannon. What do you think about this one?
Well, Spider-Man says everybody gets one, right? That's how it works. But
That's
so Ryan, something that you hit on, right? Like with the women, the article we had before that we went over, I think it was 2 weeks ago, about the women that were leaving at age 30. That was something
Right.
that actually brought up in the CISEC report. Not that they were leaving, but that 81% of the respondents were male. You know what I mean? So like that really is telling, you know what I mean, that you have such a high disparity, you know what I mean, between the
Right.
sexes. That's very interesting. But yeah, it does kind of go hand in hand what we were talking about before. But yeah, this is a little odd to me. So like one of the things they found in that CISEC study, right, was 47% of respondents work 41 plus hours a week, with some working up to 90. So this is what this makes me think, right? And this is something that I brought up before, is whether or not we know cybersecurity positions are in demand out there, right? Like it's something like 500,000 needed in the next 5 years or whatever it is. It's like a crazy high number. But are people just saying that, are they thinking that their departments are full? You know what I mean? Like if you have people that are working that much, I mean, we know the attacks are happening, right? So you can't sit there and say, okay, we can make this happen with 3 people or whatever, right?
Right. Right.
Then you got 3 people that are all responding whenever there's an incident, right? Because I think to myself, I'm like, well, if someone has to wake up in the middle of the night to take care of something, or if their whole department does, your department's just not large enough, right? Like you should
Right.
have some type of rotating schedule of, okay, you're on call for this time, you're on call for this time, and everybody knows when it is, right?
Yeah.
So maybe people can sleep a little bit easier. Now, I'm not saying that can always be the case, but
Right. I think that goes back to something that Mike said at the when we had him on the show. Was that last week or the week before?
yeah,
Time is a flat circle. But what he was stating was that he's not even getting the candidates. They're not making it through the ATS system, like the automated. I forget what it stands for off the top of my head, but like they can't even get past the robot to get to a human being to then be interviewed and potentially brought into the department. So departments are like bleeding people, but they're not getting people in, which is crazy.
and also what you talked about with the experience, right? Like every job wants experience. If every job wants experience, how does anybody start out, right? We can't all have 3 to 5
Yeah,
years.
you got to have 20 years of experience before you even graduate college. Like what?
Yeah, and you just have to hope the companies are being flexible and stuff like that, right? Like you have to be a little bit flexible in your job recs, because some of them out there are a little ridiculous. But I could see the mental health being an issue if it's just constantly, if you have a small department that's always constantly dealing with these types of things, right? Because we mentioned in one of our previous stories, every 11 seconds there's a cyber attack, right? We're not saying successful, but every 11 seconds you got one, right? And like you said, Ryan, there's a lot of 11 seconds in the day, right? So
Right, exactly.
this is one of those things where, yeah, you are burning them out, you're wearing them out, and they're going to do other things, right? Like I know you have brought up instances where people are coming from other career fields, right, and trying to be here. Like you got lawyers that are trying to come and IT or do cybersecurity, but the people that are here that have been doing it for a while, they're just like, man, 90 hours a week. Like I can't see doing 90 hours. Like even when you're deployed, you might get like one day off, right? Like you're working 12s for 6 days a week. That still doesn't equal 90. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So like,
depreciated return. Like people just don't have it in them to
right.
work that type of schedule.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. But it's such a cause and effect thing. Like you can't say I need people and then also say I don't have time to train them. I don't have time to get them up to the skill level, what have you. And I get it. Like it's hard at those more tactical levels, right? Like you have to do your job and train somebody else how to do their job as well. But the investment has to be made, or else you just never get people. Like you're not going to find, if you don't want to train people, your peer at a different organization probably feels the same way that you do. So they're not going to come from a different organization. I can be able to poach them from somebody because everybody is on the same mindset. Like I don't feel like training these people up. And people want to get in because they want to do something different. They're excited. They're energized. Like those are the people you want on the team. But then you're gatekeeping. Like, but I don't want you. You know what I mean? I want him or her with the 3 years of experience. It's like that's not the way it works, unfortunately. Like they're gonna have to start being way more flexible with their requirements in order to pull in enough people to then, get them spun up and get them where they need to be.
And COVID hurt it a little bit too, right? So like people weren't going out to classes as much, right? Like they were getting canceled, so like there is training, and some of the training can be OJT, right? Like it could be on the job training, but if like there's a new technology, or if there's some system or something you need to know, sending them out was a little bit harder these last 2 years. You know what I mean? Whether it was canceled or it was a matter of some people can't learn just sitting at home doing a virtual learning session. They got to be somewhere
hands on.
Yeah, more hands-on. So that's just how it is. So that hurt a little bit too. So hopefully with us, coming out of the worst part, which seems to be the worst part of COVID, like that'll all change, right? Like classes starting back up again, maybe in person, so that could help some.
Yeah, you can even onboard these people to do more remedial tasks. Like I hate to call it remedial tasks because it's such a disparaging term.
Less experienced. They less experienced.
Yeah. To get in the foot in the door. Because like what did Log4j or Log4j, however you want to pronounce it, show us? Like we don't even know what is on our assets, and we don't even know what assets we have in the organization. So like they're scrambling building Excel sheets like, oh, am I vulnerable here? Like, what does this device do? Like, why do we need this device? What OS is this device on? That could have been somebody's job this whole time, right? So now we're taking you, a very experienced person on the team, and having to pull you down to do something that requires a little less experience in order to do an audit to see if what does our attack surface look like? This could have been somebody's job. You know what I mean? Like this could be them working their way up the rung. So I don't know. Like there's a balancing act that needs to be done. I'm not in a position to make those type of calls and what have you, but you can see it from the outside looking in. Like you're like, but you said you need people. You're like, but yeah, but I need experienced people. Like, well, where are they getting this experience from? You know what I mean? Like this person could have been that savior in the asset management office that was like, no, I have a list. I know exactly what we have, what OSs we're on, and where we're vulnerable at. And that's a learning experience for not only them, but higher ups in the organization as well. Like, oh man, like I'm so glad we had, Jim or Jane or whomever here to collect that data for us. Like now they can move up and they can, you know what I mean? But we'll see. Like the government is doing their best to get more people in. You have the top three organizations. They're building pipelines. They're putting campuses on in areas where people of color are mainly going to school. Like the pipeline is going to be full. We're just it's there's a squeeze right now. So I think until given another 3 to 5 years, like, which sucks because that 51% is going to be 75% by then. But then you're going to get people. You know what I mean? You're going to have more people than you can handle with more experience than we're used to. So there is a silver lining, like, but that weight is going to be rough. So I'm just put that out there. But with that being said, I'll go ahead and land this plane. It's always a great discussion. Hopefully, if this is the first episode you listen to this week, go back and listen to Monday and Tuesday. Some really good topics, and then go ahead and listen to Friday, where we talk about all the other things. Right, it's how we decompress, so we're not in the 51% people who are super stressed out. Right, but definitely hit up all of our social medias. They all go by our name. I now post on TikTok, so be on the lookout for that as well. And hit me up personally. I'm at RY Security Guy. That's RYRY Security Guy. I am on Clubhouse, LinkedIn, TikTok, and Twitter. And you, LeVon?
You hit me up on the Twitters at LeVon Maynard.
There it is. Stay safe, stay secure.
Take care.